and they tell me they want someone that will focus on all Kentuckians and not forget about those working hard in the break room to make sure that some of the breaks go to the people in the break room, not just the boardroom.
There's two Republican candidates for Attorney General. You have Daniel Cameron, who pointed out that Will Schroeder actually was a Democrat just a few years before he won his Kentucky Senate seat. So I think he won a Senate seat in 2014. So he was a Democrat just a few years prior to that. And Will Schroeder lost his shit. Will Schroeder wasn't having it. He was not going to allow that liberal Democrat shit to stick on him. So what did Will Schroeder did? Well, he just went ahead and shot that Southern strategy of Daniel Cameron's right back. So both Daniel Cameron and Will Schroeder are for Donald Trump's border wall. What the fuck does that have to do with Kentucky? Absolutely nothing, but if you crack down on migrant labor, it's going to hurt your farmers. They're the ones that's doing the labor that nobody else, none of the white folks want to do anymore. So now Will Schroeder is throwing brown folks under the bus. So this is reminiscent of Allison Grimes. Allison Grimes said something about strong border security. So they're throwing the Mexicans under the bus. What the hell does the border wall have to do with Kentucky? You're not going to get any border wall there. You got a massive influx of what? Just immigrants just coming from all over the place? Yeah, just a shit ton. You just got an avalanche. You got an invasion, don't you, Kentucky? Give me a fucking break. They're not even by the border, and the few Mexicans that are there are working out in the tobacco fields. So the percentage-wise, it's like 7% is black, 2% is Hispanic. So what are you talking about? What immigrant problem are you all talking about? So Will Schroeder, he's going to go ahead and throw brown folks under the bus, and then this ad is something he released in response to Daniel Cameron's attack ads, his dirty politics. And this ad is some pretty intense shit.
I'm Will Schroeder. My opponent, Daniel Cameron, is running a shameful negative campaign. It's a cheap shot. The truth? I'll work with President Trump to build the wall and build it now, to keep illegals, drugs, and crime out of Kentucky. And I'm the only Republican for Attorney General who's actually tried a case and worked with law enforcement to put criminals behind bars.
Crime fighter, conservative Trump Republican, husband, father, Christian. Will Schroeder for Kentucky Attorney General.
So I didn't say who I supported for the agricultural commissioner for the Democrats. You have Robert Conway, who is saying that we need medical marijuana now. He had only written before that he only wanted some medical marijuana. He wanted to do, a bunch of carrots and I don't know what else. But Joe Trigg is clearly the better choice for Democrats in Kentucky.
The difference that I would bring is I'm not into photo opportunities. I want to get in my truck, and if there's a problem in Graves County or there's a problem in Letcher County, I think we need to get out there and find out what it is. We need to find alternative crops. One of the things that Mr. Trigg said, and I agree with him, is that marijuana, hemp, should come through the Department of Agriculture. But where I disagree with it is, as someone who has had his personal life decimated by cancer, 60,000 people in the state of Kentucky need this crop right now. They need medical marijuana for the betterment of their own personal well-being. And whatever it should take, shame on our legislators that they can't get the bill. If it got finally through committee, why can't we get it through the House and the Senate and get the governor to sign off on it, because people need it?
Robert Conway is only pro-medical marijuana now because of Joe Trigg. So Joe Trigg has pushed Robert Conway to be way more progressive than what he initially wanted to be. So Joe Trigg is leading on this issue. And it may be the only issue that Joe Trigg needs to get elected. He's going to make sure that every farmer in Kentucky can raise medical marijuana and hemp. So I dig Trigg, Joe Trigg, vote for Trigg for agricultural commissioner. Here's a clip of the current agricultural commissioner for Kentucky right now, Ryan Quarles. And Ryan Quarles is a Harvard-educated man. He got his master's in education from Harvard. So he is a Harvard-educated man. He is brilliant. He's smarter than everybody else.
But also in Washington, D.C. So how's just been the process of being the agriculture commissioner been so far for you?
Being the commissioner of agriculture is a dream job. I oftentimes look back when I was in middle school when I first saw Commissioner Billy Ray Smith working the lines at the Kentucky State Fair, and that's when the seed was planted for me, quite literally, to look at this as a dream job. I serve as a key communicator between our farm community, those 76,000 farms in our state, and our consumer, who increasingly wants to know more about where their food comes from.
Have you gotten pushback from folks in your party for challenging Matt Bevin? I mean, is in theory the leader of the Republican Party right now.
Well, he is the governor right now.
It's a cheap shot. The truth? My story began like so many of you, in a small rural town that's too often forgotten about.
Currently, the treasurer for Kentucky is Allison Ball. She had billed herself as the good Allison. She's very well spoken. She's a lawyer. I'm not sure if she did anything or what she did as treasurer. So Allison Ball of Prestonburg is currently the Republican incumbent. And you have two Democrats who are running for treasurer right now. So the two Democrats have to run against each other. There's a victor, and then that victor will go on to run against Allison Ball, who is running unopposed. The treasurer has to sit on the KRS board. So if you are elected treasurer of Kentucky, then you will be on the same board, the Kentucky Retirement Systems Board, where all the problems are. And this is where the pensions are coming from. Okay, so this is what this video is about, the two Democrats for treasurer. And this is brought to you by I'm the only motherfucker in the world who gives a shit.com.
For me, that was in Simpson County, down on the Tennessee border. I was born to two factory workers, and they did everything they could to provide the best opportunity for my older brother and me. And we didn't have a lot, but my parents had determination, and they used that determination to teach us the importance of working hard, the value of education, and doing right by your family, your neighbors, and your community.
The two challengers in the Democratic Party, you got Michael Bowman from Louisville, and then you got Josh Murs from Lexington. Here's a quick little breakdown, a little profile of Allison Ball. So she wanted to protect free enterprise and to serve as a check to the other state offices. That's what she had campaigned on. So the GOP incumbent, Allison Ball, the good Allison, she's the one with that crooked Holly Hunter redneck southern mouth, like the twang had crooked her mouth a long time ago and it just got stuck that way. So Allison Ball's a lawyer. She gave birth July 3rd, 2018. She's the first statewide officer in Kentucky history to give birth, allegedly. Nothing obvious strikes me as her doing a good job as treasurer. I couldn't find any news reports or any news story. The only thing that Wikipedia mentioned was that she gave birth while she was, on the job. So, well, I mean, did she get the treasurer work done that day, or what did she do? Anyways, still lots of million-dollar pensions for judges, lots of hedge fund managers with hands in the Kentucky taxpayer cookie jar, a pension system which is still broken, lots of poverty, $10,000 per capita in Clay County, 70% of Letcher County has no running water, lots of child abuse, domestic violence, elder abuse, plus the STDs and the cancer and the heart disease, a lot of problems. Kentucky, you name a problem, Kentucky probably has it. So I'm very disappointed with Allison Ball. She spoke well. It sounded like she was going to do a lot of good things, but we haven't heard anything about her. What the hell has she done? That's going to be the biggest challenge for both Mike Harmon, the auditor, and the treasurer, Allison Ball, is to establish to Kentucky, what in the goddamn fuck did you do in the last 3.5 years? We gave you power. We gave you a shit ton of money. What did you do with that power and money? Did you do anything? Did anybody go to jail for stealing money? Did anybody go to... So we got this pension crisis, and yet you're the one that's signing every single check? I mean, what could a lawyer really know about being a treasurer anyways?
Mine isn't one of those rags to riches, anything is possible kind of story. You see, I've been where you are. I've been waiting for that next paycheck, wondering if you'll have enough to pay your rent. I've experienced the debt that comes from not having access to quality health insurance. And yeah, I'm still paying student loans. When I came to Lexington, I brought with me that same determination that my parents had shown me. It drove me to fight for folks that were, like my hometown, being forgotten.
Let's start with Josh Murs. So Josh Murs is from Lexington. He's a Simpson County native. He was raised in Bowling Green, and he's got one union endorsement. He is the owner of Shelter Insurance, which is how Mike Harmon got his start. First, become an insurance salesman. Second, become the auditor of Kentucky. The treasurer of Lexington Human Rights Commission is what Josh Murders does now. He's the treasurer of the Lexington Human Rights Commission, and he's the chair of Lexington Fairness. So he's part of the Fairness Campaign, which is gay folks speaking up, against discrimination, which is a great thing. He's also pro-public schools, so Josh Murders does not believe in school choice. He will never, ever be in favor of charter schools, only the monopoly and the totalitarian oppression that is public education. He is in favor of that. He also wants to rebuild infrastructure, balance the budget. He is just like you. He struggled to pay rent. He's faced medical debt. He's got student loans, and he wants to increase financial literacy all across Kentucky. So he says that as the treasurer, you can advocate for new sources of revenue. So he's going to put pressure on Kentucky's legislature. Every single executive should put pressure on Kentucky's legislature because that's who passes all the laws. So if you ever want to get anything done or anything changed, it's going to have to come through the legislature. So you got to, have a strong will like Jeff Young says he has. So Josh Murders, when it comes to the planks of his platform, he's going to increase financial literacy, balance the budget. He has, ideas of where he wants new projects. He wants to investigate fraud. He wants to balance the state checkbook. He wants to prioritize property returns. So I guess that's civil forfeiture. So property returns, maybe it's they didn't pay taxes, so their land is being auctioned off. I think the treasurer has a lot to do with unclaimed property. So when people just leave a piece of property or, die off or what have you, then that property sits there until the treasurer's office does something with it. So that's land and property, so that's a lot of power. Not only are you signing, all the checks for Kentucky, the billions of dollars in checks, but you're also going to be the one who's responsible for all the unclaimed property in Kentucky. So Josh Murders had one good quote. He said that the treasurer needs to be more than a rubber stamp of the governor. Okay, that's pretty weak rhetoric, but he essentially is saying that the treasurer needs to be independent. So he's like, hey, I'm not going to be a rubber stamp for Matt Bevin. I'm going to stand up to Matt Bevin. You watch.
Or willfully ignored. I spoke out for those that had no voice. I stood for those that could no longer rise, and I had hope for those that had lost theirs. And when the political elite took aim at our public school and state employees, I was there to join the fight for them.
When we send those that stand against education, that stand against our teachers, that stand against our state employees, that stand against our children, when we send them back home and don't let them come back.
Okie dokie. So I remember Josh Murders. He was a dick to me on Facebook for some reason. I can't remember what it was, but I remember he was a dick to me. And also when I read everything that he's talking about, especially compared to Michael Bowman, it just sounds like Josh Murders is a person who's never been in government, and he's trying to be in government, so he's not very exciting. He's not coming up with a slate of new ideas. He doesn't have an ambitious platform. He's just saying he's going to fight for Kentucky, and that's about it. So usually as a citizen, I would say that you're more honest. So I think he's got a good start to his campaign, but treasurer, to be one of the main executive, members of the executive branch. Now, both Josh Murders and Michael Bowman both agreed that the stable program can be more aggressive for folks with disabilities. So he's got, some good ideas. He's going to advocate for new sources of revenue. He's not going to just be a rubber stamp. He believes the treasurer's office is an independent office. He's going to prioritize property returns, which who knows what the hell that actually means. He's also pro-public schools and just absolutely hates any kind of private schools. He's probably going to shut all the private schools down or make sure they don't get any Kentucky funds. So that's Josh Murders from Lexington, a Simpson County native, raised in Bowling Green, and he's got one union endorsement.
More than ever, we Kentuckians need leaders that are willing to stand up, and not ones that remain silent as the future of our Commonwealth is sold to the highest bidder. Our elected officials repeatedly fail to use their voice and their office to defend the people of Kentucky, and this has to end. Kentuckians deserve to have their trust in state government restored. I'm proud to be the son of Andy and Patricia, two extraordinary Kentuckians who, like the vast majority of our Commonwealth, hope for true leadership. They hope for a government where honesty, integrity, and standing for the right thing is celebrated and exemplified by our elected officials. My name's Josh Mers, and I'm running to be your state treasurer. And I'll fight for you because I'm one of you.
The candidate that Josh Mers is running against, who I believe is to be the better candidate, not only is he not just an insurance salesman, he runs a branch of U.S. Bank in Louisville. So Michael Bowman is from Louisville. He's from Valley Station in Jefferson County. He attended the University of Louisville. He's a lifelong Kentuckian, which, you know, makes me feel good. But what is that supposed to mean? You've ignored all the damn poverty. Anyways, strong Union family. So he's a lifelong Kentuckian, Michael Bowman is. Michael Bowman is from a strong Union family. His father worked for the postal workers for 40 years. I like that. Unions are on the ropes. Unions are at only 9%. So that's where the solidarity, that's where so many advances in society has come from. Plus just, it's your family, right? Having a union, that's your men, that's your people. And you all are making sure that you all got good jobs and you have good wages, good benefits, and you know, have each other's backs. Unions are also the only leverage that working people have. Without a union, we're just kissing the boss's, you know, butt crack. So Michael Bowman is a branch manager for the U.S. Bank in Louisville. So branch manager, is that just the one branch? I guess just the manager of one bank, but that's still pretty impressive, right? He's actually running this big, you know, corporate conglomerate bank, whereas Josh Mers, he might know his financial stuff, but he's an insurance salesman, so it's easier to just control your own private business versus getting into this corporate conglomerate. So I guess I just feel that Michael Bowman has a little bit more experience when it comes to financial matters than Josh Mers. He was also a legislative assistant in the Louisville Metro Council, so he knows about writing laws. Constitutional framers said that the treasurer should be independent. So Michael Bowman just knows that automatically the treasurer, the auditor, the agricultural commissioner, the attorney general, you have the governor and the lieutenant governor, which everybody's focused on, but the reason why the 4 and 5 other executive positions are important because they are going to be the ones who check the governor when it comes to matters of auditing and treasuring and agriculturing and attorney generaling and secretary of stating. So it's up to those 5 executive branch positions to prevent the tyranny of the governor. We aren't in a royal society. We don't believe in hierarchical, what do they call it, monarchy, the hereditary. We don't believe in hereditary succession. Just because you're the son of a king doesn't mean you get to be king. And actually nobody's king because we've got 3 branches of government. So if there is an American king, well, that American king knows how to work with the legislature and with the Supreme Court to get shit done. So that's what the governor's going to try to do, and it's up to the treasurer, auditor, agriculture commissioner, attorney general, and the secretary of state to make sure the governor doesn't go too far. So Allison Ball, this is Michael Bowman. So Michael Bowman's got some good rhetoric, but better rhetoric than Josh Mers. Michael Bowman says that Allison Ball, the treasurer, has allowed Matt Bevin's reckless assault on the people. And, you know, she sits on the chair of the pension boards, the Kentucky Retirement. So what the hell has she done with the pensions? It's still broken. Not to mention the poverty and the lack of democracy and all the diseases. So you have Michael Bowman says that Allison Ball would rather take your tax dollars and give them to charter schools so that those for-profit organizations can tell you which kids they want to teach. So that's actually a pretty profound quote right there. So he was like, give them to charter schools. I was like, I believe in public schools and school choice. The best way to make public schools get better, offer competition. I personally like vouchers, which gives you the parent and the child the power. You're the customer. You don't like the education you're getting from one building, you go to another building. So at first I was a little like, oh, charter schools, but then he ends it off with that they're going to be for-profit organizations, so they're only trying to make a buck, and then they can tell you which kids they want to teach. So Matt Bevin believes that it's okay for religious schools to discriminate against gay folks. And also charter schools generally try to take the best and the brightest. So he's saying they're elitist, and he's probably suggesting that they're homophobic, which I think is bullshit. you know, you can have a private school, but you're going to say that, you know, gay folks can't go there? Who the fuck are you to say shit like that? That's discrimination, and it's bullshit. So I like that sentence. Michael Bowman, he says that casinos and marijuana can help to raise revenue, so he acknowledges that casinos and marijuana would be a great, you know, revenue stream for Kentucky. Michael Bowman wants to expand greater services like stable, STABLE accounts, and unclaimed property. So Michael Bowman is talking about the unclaimed property. Is that the same thing that he's saying with the prioritized property returns? Because if it's unclaimed, then it's probably not going to go to anybody. So stable accounts, I'm not sure exactly what stable accounts are, but he wants to expand the stable accounts, and he also wants to allow a local option sales tax for county governments to be able to fund some projects. That was an issue that was in the legislature a couple of years back. I think it was a Greg Stumble idea, and they were going to allow local option sales tax for county governments to fund projects. So, you know, raise a penny tax and then build that new recreational center, you know, or Hardin County or Gallatin or Robertson or Pike County. So that's the profiles of Michael Bowman and Josh Mers. I do believe that Michael Bowman is a little bit better than Josh Mers, but they both have a lot of work to do if they're going to run up against Allison Ball. Allison Ball is going to need to make the case that she's actually done something for 3.5 years. So assuming she's actually done something, she speaks really well. She's very confident. And so I think they just need to up their political game a little bit and get more sharper with their verbal attacks. Because when it comes to policy, policy is open game. You know, if you're just calling somebody names and you're just insulting them directly, I don't think that's fair. But I do think it's fair to, you know, if your policy is ruining people's lives, if it's shitty policy, I think you can hit policy left and right. So for Allison Ball, I think the pensions would be a huge thing. If I'm running for treasurer, I'm talking about the pensions nonstop up until Election Day. Hey, Allison Ball, have you fixed the pension systems yet? Hey, Allison, when are you going to fix those pension systems? I'd also challenge her to a debate right off the bat and then just say, you know, they're running scared. They don't want to debate me because they're scared of a true blue progressive in office. Now, here's a fun little clip. This is proof of the militarized discrimination that Jeff Young has been receiving from Kentucky's Democratic Party. So, Jeff Young, he goes up to, I guess, a debate or something's going on. The Democrat Party is controlling the building, and a police officer is outside the building. There's yellow tape. It doesn't look like there's anybody outside whatsoever, but there is one police officer, and Jeff Young asked the police officer if he can knock on the door. And he's trying to get on the debate stage, so that's what I'm assuming this is. The police officer eventually relented and said that he would go ask somebody to see if Jeff Young is allowed to ring the doorbell, because the cop was getting all pissed off because he was trying to say, you're not allowed here, so get the hell out of here. And then Jeff Young says, well, that's illegal. You know, what you're doing is criminal. This is what Jeff Young is calling Edelin and Brashear crooks about. This bullshit right here. So this is proof positive that they are not just discriminating against Jeff Young, but they have militarized discrimination. And so he goes in and he asks, and then the answer is no, sir. So, you know, the police officer was polite, but he was enforcing the bylaws of the Kentucky Democratic Party. Says you got to treat everybody fair. So the Kentucky Democratic Party isn't even listening to their own rules, which actually seems to be consistent all across America. There's a lot of places that don't listen to their own goddamn rules. The rules are for you, not for them. So you got to follow every single rule that's out there, and even if they're going to break the rules, then you just have to walk away. Nah, this is bullshit. Jeff Young, you know, did a little video about it, and it's pretty entertaining, so check it out.
I'd like to knock on the door and ask a question.
No, sir, you're not allowed in the building, and I'm not going to let you knock on the door.
What? You can't knock on the door?
No, sir, I've been instructed to keep you away from the building. You can stand out here like everybody else.
What he said was keep me out of the building. So my proposal
I'm done talking.
is that I knock,
everybody else that comes, they have to stay behind the yellow tape. So that's where.
Knock on the door and ask them if they've changed their mind about letting me on stage. That's what I'd like to do.
No, sir.
I can't even knock on the door?
I've said that 3 times now.
Why not?
That's what I've been instructed.
Yeah, but it's not legal.
Take it up with them later.
How about if I ring that doorbell right there instead?
No, sir.
I don't need to knock on anything. There's no danger that I'll break the glass.
Do you want me to ask them if you can ring the doorbell?
Yeah, please do that.
Oh, no problem.
Yeah. And you know what I'm asking. Typical cop.
Right.
Well, just following orders.
And they're posted up over there too, just staring right at you.
I know.
Like these guys are literally ready to get out and jump you if you try to make it through that door.
I know.
Sorry, the answer is no, sir.
To which question?
If you could ring the doorbell or not.
The answer to that question is no. Okay.
Correct.
Bye.
Thank you, sir.